Hello, 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 my beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of July 3rd, where this week we're actually kicking it off right away with a full moon in Capricorn. Kind of cool. I think we get a little bit more clarity at this particular full moon than we had at the new moon that happened last month. The last new moon, you might have felt like something was kind of vague. And so going into this full moon and coming into this week, and I think getting a bit more practical action that brings clarity to what's going on, maybe something you think is really delicious. So first and foremost, I hope you all are doing absolutely fantastic out there. And thank you so much for all your comments last week, sharing your life with me, sharing what's going on with you. I absolutely love it. I love seeing it. I love checking in and saying, okay, just sending you a little burst of energy. And also, you may have noticed in your July monthly horoscope videos that these ones were audio videos, and you will see that happening for the August and September videos as well, as I'm taking a little visual break in the monthly videos. I will be back, I promise, but I had to redefine a little bit what rest looks like for me, and it turns out rest doesn't look like not working. I don't actually enjoy that. I love what I do, but I needed a little bit of a visual break. So I'll enjoy being here with you in person, seeing each other in the weekly videos and in other videos that come up. But we're going to take a little bit of break in the monthlies, but no worries. I'm right there with you every step of the way, breaking down what is going on in the month. Okay, so also make sure you hop over and check out your July monthly video if you haven't done that. And please share it with someone. Share it with somebody who doesn't even know astrology, but you're like, listen, this will benefit you. You could use the help, right? We're just trying to help people on this journey to consciousness. All right, you can still sign up for the London Astrology Association conference that will be in person or online, a hybrid conference that's coming up in October. That is in the description box down below. And to let you know in advance, I'm very excited. I've already signed my contracts to teach again with Miss Nadia Shah in 2024, so we can go on ahead and put that on our books as well. All of the details are in the description box down below. All right, beautiful friends, into the week we go. So starting off this week, July 3rd, we're coming in with that full moon at 11 degrees of Capricorn. And this is absolutely fantastic. The aspects that are happening here is that, first of all, the sun and the moon are in opposition. Okay, that's always what happens when we have a full moon, is that the luminaries are across from each other. And so you have this sense of opposing energy, my needs versus my want, home versus work, right? Inside versus outside, myself versus my family. These are kind of the polarities that are pulling in opposing directions. And what we want whenever there's an opposition, it doesn't matter which planets are involved. What we want from an opposition is you want to integrate them, right? So get rid of the word purpose. What is the purpose of all of this? No. Get rid of that, because there's a purpose in everything, and it makes the opposition get bigger and wider and pull more tightly. And then we don't feel stable. We feel unstable and ungrounded, right? Instead, we want integration. So with whatever is lighting up for you, you want to be looking at, okay, what's the goal? That's a very Capricorn energy as well, right? Like, what is my goal? What am I trying to achieve here? What is my ambition to achieve here? And this is a phenomenal energy to be able to do that. Because what the full moon in general is doing, it is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or adjust something by creating an illumination at an emotional level of what needs to be adjusted. So under this Capricorn energy, if we're picking a goal, it's like, oh, okay, I need to just bring a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and then I can meet the goal and get something done, okay? Now, we've also got this moon in an opposition to Mercury, so our communication planet. And Mercury being in the energy of Cancer is like, Mercury doesn't have access to just the full power intellectual mind. It's more like you have to trust your emotional and intuitive intelligence about what is going on with you. Okay, so you're really bridging the gap between your body being in a physical plane and your emotions being inside. And whereas they were confusing last month, this time you get this like boost of energy and this boost of support to integrate those two spaces and find a practical answer as to what it is you need to do. Now, we've also got this moon sitting in a lovely trine to Jupiter. It's got a nice conversation going with Saturn, and those are the aspects of this particular moon that I think make it easier to understand and bring clarity, as well as see opportunity to move yourself forward in a way that creates stability. It's the way that makes you say, okay, listen, I've been taking on too much, Capricorn. I need to delegate, right? I need to get my life together. I need to get my emotional life together. What do I need to shed, full moon, end, acknowledge, or adjust in order to have a little bit more emotional feeling, having a little bit more emotional freedom? You know, so there's this like sense of clarity, but also opportunity that is presented at this particular moon. So looking at these aspects, you know, I just don't think you feel as confused. And I think you see a pathway forward that is actually quite practical. And, you know, sometimes when it comes down to the practicalities of things, right, this is what it can look like for me. And my spiritual teacher and I talk a lot about this, is I'll be like, I just don't feel like doing that thing, right? I don't feel like doing the dishes today. I don't feel like doing my family's laundry today. I don't feel like doing these things over here. And she will always tell me, okay, well, first of all, if you don't feel like doing that, it's probably the thing to just do, which always amazes me. And the practical action that comes with that is for me to just go start doing the task. And as I start doing the task, it's like the mind and the body come around, and it's like, oh, I'm so grateful to have a home to be able to do my family's laundry, or I'm so grateful that I have a home to be able to, you know, it's so sometimes it works like that. Now, other times too, because I'm a big fan and a big proponent of take a step towards the universe and the universe comes running. Take a step towards your task, and whether or not it's really meant for you will start running, right? It comes running right at you. So this may be a good time for you too, instead of, you know, having this super polarized thinking and feeling dynamic that's been going on around the Capricorn areas of your life, you kind of just take a practical action, start stepping into it, because you have to stop talking about it and you have to be about it, right? So step into it. And then if the action just really, if that's not the dress that fits you, take it off. But then you're more informed because you've actually taken the opportunity to take the action. Because I will tell you, at least 8 out of 10 times, I'm like, I don't want to. And then I do it, and it's been like the best thing ever, you know? So the other 2 times, they genuinely suck. So, you know, for what it's worth, just give it a go. All right, so we'll be traveling with that moon energy. And then when we get into Tuesday, which is Independence Day for the United States, so happy Independence Day if you are celebrating. And then we will see the moon move into void, of course, before it moves into the energy of Aquarius. So as we spend afternoon with that moon traveling through the energy of Aquarius, remember the moon now moves into an air energy. So it's where you have to think about how you feel. Okay. And it may also be a time too with moon in Aquarius where you're like, I want to try something unconventional. I want to try something that's a little bit outside of my box, maybe just something a little bit different. And sometimes that little bit different is just, instead of brushing your teeth with your right hand, you do it with your left. And you're like, look who's living on the edge. You know, whatever your little piece of innovation is, this is a chance to try it because emotionally it kind of fills your cup. But also, I want you to make sure you're taking a look at your chart to see what house is the Aquarius energy living in, because that's the part of your chart this month that you kind of get to put eyes on the prize and say, okay, where do I need to innovate? Where can I gather with groups? Where can I invite more friendliness? Where can I detach from something that's happening here without, you know, detachment in the way where you're like, I didn't cause it, I can't cure it. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Doesn't mean I don't have compassion for you, but it means that that is not mine to deal with, and maybe I've been too involved in taking it on, or I've been too detached and I need to step in just a little bit, okay? Later in the day, we are going to see Mercury, who's just like a star this week. Mercury's like opposing the moon, but Mercury is now going to be in a square to Chiron, and we have already seen this. We saw this in January, okay? January 11th. So think back just a little bit. Mercury now being, you know, it's our decision-making, communication, mental planet, but it's now in Cancer. So it's emotional and intuitive intelligence. So you're meeting this square with Chiron over here in Aries. So this is cardinal square, a beginning square. We're trying to start something and we're opposing, or we're not opposing, we're challenging, okay? But this one is in the emotional realm. So first of all, something you may emotionally be trying for the first time, or something you're emotionally trying to begin, especially with this new identity of yours, it doesn't really feel comfortable, or you feel like, I don't know. Here's one thing I'll tell you. If you're trying something different and at emotional level it's kind of getting you, go for it, right? If you're trying something that was a same old behavior and it really feels like that doesn't fit anymore, back up. That may be a memory. It may even be muscle memory. You're doing something so out of habit that it's just like, oh, I do it without even thinking now, right? And that's a great space to see where you can develop something different. Now, the other thing I was thinking about is in our attempts to move forward or move in a different direction, sometimes it's not the muscle memory of what I do per se, but sometimes it's the stories or the memories or the visions from the past that kind of act like a little tether. And it's like, today you get to acknowledge and recognize that you are in a different place. You are a different person. You are moving in a different way. So instead of being tethered to the past, you turn and you look at the past, have an evaluation of it, cut ties where you need to or not. And another way to look at this is, if something from your past is coming up or is kind of flooding you this week, get curious about it, right? Not fearful, get curious. Even if it was a scary event, get support and get curious, because it is coming to you as an invitation from the universe to engage it and clear it and learn from it. And that's a really big deal, I think, for each of us to continue to acknowledge on a moment by moment basis, that we are invited to experience and heal our own human experiences all in one lifetime. Humans are very much so like that. It's an incredible feature of doing the human dance. All right, on Wednesday, Mercury, I'm telling you, Mercury's a busy beetle this week, but Mercury's going to sit in a sextile to Uranus over in Taurus. So we've got this water and earth mix, okay? And when they stay in balance, you make beautiful mud. You can build things with it. It's just a really good time. Too much water, it's flooded out. Too much earth, it dries up. So here in the sextile, we've got a really nice pocket of opportunity, good mud, and we're able to take advantage of it. So this is a great place where I would tell you, as you're trying on these new actions, even if it's just being curious this week about where you've been and why you do what you do and why you would be doing that if it doesn't work anymore, or the curiosity to venture forward, this is a chance to celebrate that, truly, especially in your physical reality, Uranus and Taurus, you have been shaken, not stirred. And maybe you are taking this detoured path that somebody in your life has never even taken. Maybe you're the first in your family to fill in the blank, right? Maybe you are the one throwing a little curveball into your life, and you're like, listen, I have sat with this and sat with this and sat with this, and I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it. And I want to share an example of this with you. It was really interesting. So I'm a part of a group outside of astrology, and we hang out, we do all sorts of things together, and we pretty much try to make decisions together, right? Very democratic, keep everybody's voice in mind. And we were trying to make a decision about meeting at a different location, okay? And everybody's like, okay, and it took us a couple weeks, and we're all kind of on board. And then one of our group members, let's just say group member, said, you know what, listen, it's just in my heart, it's in my gut, and I don't feel like that's the right location. And it is at the last moment where we're all like, yay, we're going to this place over here, And we needed to listen to him, and we listened to his reasons why, and we all took a week to just sit with this curveball that he had thrown into us. And when we all came back to the table, we were like, oh man, we got curious about what you were saying this week, and spent some time with our inner workings, and spent some time around this location that we thought was the best thing since beans. And it turns out it really wouldn't be very good for us, right? So sometimes the curveball that comes is, sometimes it's pleasant and it's heart-filled and it's wonderful like that. And sometimes it's a curveball that you didn't see coming at all, and it changes the entire direction of your physical, where you were going, okay? So I want you to just kind of consider that. And Uranus always provides an innovation. Mercury always brings new information. So the other way you can look at this is that Mercury is bringing new information to create through that opportunity and innovation in your material life, that Uranus was like, I needed that piece. Now let's go. Okay. All right. When we roll around to Thursday, we are going to have the moon void, of course, early morning till just before midday, and then we'll see the moon move into the energy of Pisces. So remember, this is the time to create. Okay, create, put on that music, dance around, journal, take a nap, be good to yourself, do a little massage, bring the song bowl, sage the house, bring ritual, bring ceremony into your life, pet the cat for like 20 hours, whatever it is, enjoy the Pisces flow. But other questions that I think are good is to do a little check-in to say, am I rested? And what do I need to surrender? It's been, 28 days since the last cycle, since we experienced Pisces energy again. In that 28 days, what have you picked up that it's like, I'm carrying something that I don't need to, right? And I'm a Virgo rising, so I really like the old spot check so that you don't have to have when spring cleaning comes around, you're not like, oh my God, I have to clean this whole place. Instead, clean as you go. And that's what the 28-day moon cycle really offers us, is the opportunity to look around and say, okay, what am I doing? How am I doing? This is my once a month time to just do a little spot check. Am I out here engaged in all sorts of things that I really don't want to be? Have I been letting people push my boundaries? Have I been letting my boundaries down? Am I playing the blame game anywhere? Am I praying? Am I meditating? Am I sleeping? Am I giving myself downtime? Am I creating the things that I want? This is a great time to check in where you're at in your 28-day Pisces cycle. Pretty quiet on Friday, so spend the day in all that delicious Pisces energy. And then we will see the moon void, of course, Saturday, mid-afternoon. Okay, so you have your chance to rest, review, revive, all of that good stuff. And then the moon will move Saturday into the energy of Aries. So we are ready to do something. We're ready. It's cardinal. This is a cardinal fire moon. So we are motivated and we are ready to take on a new project, take a new action, move something forward. And remember, this is, yes, you can put your hands in gear here to start something new, right? Absolutely. But this is like emotionally. I have shed some things. I've given myself a break. I've done my little spring or my 28-day cleaning, okay? And now I'm ready for what's next at an emotional level. Something else I was thinking about too is, checking in at this particular moon to say, is this me? Is this me? Is this how I want to show up? Is this how I want my name to be known? Is this the thing I'm willing to fight for? Is this, where I'm willing to say I demand to take up space? So it's a great time to say, is what I'm doing and is how I'm showing up, is it really me or what's going on there? Because in the Aries energy, over and over and over and over and over and over again, we want to bring clarity to the identity, to what you're doing, why you're moving towards that direction, why you're fighting for that, why, right? Because if not, what happens is we think we're doing something where it's like, yeah, but this is just my job and I'm being selfless and I need to, I just need to go to work, right? And it actually turns out that is really very selfish, because we're putting the weight and the responsibility on others for why we're doing what we're doing, instead of saying, I go to work, I go to this job because it's my responsibility, because I provide this by doing this. You see what I mean? It's a small little teeny tiny shift that comes in that. And it is also one that lights our personal fire. When I'm doing this because I got to feed the kids or I got to get the canary food. If it's like that, that is kind of laden with this energy that makes a fire moon too heavy, as opposed to I do this so that the canary can eat this good food, and if you guys know Brody, brother Brody, okay, our dog, I swear to goodness, I work because I get to provide Brody and all of his allergies the best food available. So if you're with me and you understand that vibe, then but you see there's a sense of ownership that gets to come with it that is absolutely beautiful, because Aries is like, no, I do it because this is what I do. All right. Now, as we're going to close out the week on Sunday, we're going to get later in the day, about midday, and we see Mercury back on the stage. It looks like Mercury's having a nice conversation with Neptune here. So both this is a water trine that we are experiencing. So remember that trine creates a pocket of opportunity, but we have to go to it. And this is an emotional opportunity that is opening up, okay? Now, because Mercury always brings new information, it's like bringing new information to Neptune, an idea or an ideal or a skill. A trine says that there is a skill or a talent or an avenue of ease that is available here. So maybe you are doing something creative, or today is the day where you have access to the emotional freedom through creation, through alignment with an ideal. I really think that this is great. This is a really good energy for like anything that has to do with the flow, right? Just be in the flow of it. I think of, vinyasa yoga, but I really like Ashtanga and hot yoga. Those are my two favorites. But anything that has a flow, maybe it's dance, maybe it's drumming, maybe whatever it is for you that actually creates this flow to like let your emotions flow through your fingertips, flow up, flow down, so that you make this body connection to your emotional life as well. I think that could be really beautiful. Now, in a more practical manner, I also think that Neptune, being that, in quotes, I'm going to put it in quotes, higher octave of Venus, this is a great energy if you're like, I feel like how I'm styling myself, my aesthetic, doesn't actually line up with who I am and how I feel today. This is a great energy for you to be able to take just an absolute wonderful look at that and make an adjustment. If you need a makeover or you need a make under, then go ahead and make those aesthetic changes as well, because it's really about just letting the inner you shine through as much as possible and letting it be easy. Let it move with the flow, okay? Then we're going to see the moon go void, of course, and we'll see it move into the energy of Taurus later on Monday. So you get a fair amount of downtime with this particular energy. But in the meantime, Mercury is going to move on from this water trine later in the day and move into the energy of Leo. And now this is when you're saying it with your chest out. Say it with your chest out. I said what I said, is that season is here. By the way, I just want to acknowledge that like right at the end of Gemini season, I can hear the rumbling of the Leos coming in where they're like, it's almost Leo season. I'm like, we literally just wrapped up Gemini season. And that's that bold, fun, playful energy. I don't know, but it seems like every year the sign I see putting up the most memes about their season coming through and saying, oh, those Cancers and oh, those Virgos, is the Leo. And there's something very playful about that. And I love that. So if you can bring a little bit of play and a little, gravitas and a little grandiosity to what you're doing while the moon is in the energy of Leo, and go ahead and, be heart-centered, be fun, be playful while we're experiencing this transit. But definitely, no matter what you're doing, say it with your chest out. Leo the lion is not in the jungle being like, well, I guess I think, it's not this cowering energy. So put your big heart out, and whatever it is that you're saying, if you are leading with love and you are leading with trust and you are clear on your motive, you're not trying to manipulate what you say, the universe will return that love to you threefold. When we work in love, when we work in generosity, that's just the way that it goes. But we are also called to saying it if we want to. Something else, I just want to make a note of this. If you do marketing, branding, any of that kind of stuff, Mercury in Leo season, using colors of reds or oranges really goes very well because it's fun and it's playful and it gives this little kick and it's almost like woohoo, flirty. So that's something for you to think about too as well, okay? All right, as we're going to end the day on Sunday, we're going to move into a last quarter moon energy. Now, this last quarter moon is going to be at 17 degrees of Aries, so grab your chart and look at what's been going on for you between 17 and 21 degrees or between 14 and 17 degrees of Aries, because this is what you're turning away from. Now, these can even be things that have come up over the last year and a half. that you're like, okay, now I'm wrapping this up. I'm turning away from this project. I'm turning away from this thinking. I'm turning away from this relationship. And turning away from doesn't necessarily mean that it ends. It means you're coming at it completely different. And the example I always like to use at the last quarter energy is it's this crisis of consciousness of like, who am I? As this is changing, right? So we think about children, they turn 18 and then they're ready to go to their next journey per se, okay? In the perfect example, okay? And so what happens typically for the parent is that they go, okay, well, who am I now? Because you don't need me in this role. You need to wait. I need to wait for you to show me what you need from me next. So there is this little bit of crisis of consciousness. Who am I in this reorientation to what's going on in the engagement? So see, it's not always that it just ends, but this is your time where you're going to have a re-engagement with the things that are in your life. Were you working on a project and now you need to reorient to it, or you need to tie up some loose ends with it and bring it to a close, or get ready to bring it to a close? Do you need to do your bookkeeping? What do you need to do to kind of reorient to this particular sector of your life? And it's something that likely you started really truly a year and a half ago, and now it's kind of coming to an end, okay? All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope you have a gorgeous week, and I will continue to be shooting weekly videos and more content from different angles in our house, and at different times. I'm learning about the different times of day that Spain is the most quiet for me to be able to record. So I look forward to having all kinds of different backgrounds and sharing that with you as we experience this journey together. I love each of you a ton. If you're not following me on Instagram, where you're getting a daily dose of transits and inspiration, please come on over there and follow me, and definitely like this video. It helps the algorithm help our other astrology soulmate members to find us and join us on the journey of consciousness and cosmos. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.